There is a reason 97% of people will never become wealthy, and it has nothing to do with luck, intelligence, or even hard work. It has to do with something hiding inside your own mind right now. Something so well disguised that most people go their entire lives without ever noticing it. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. What I'm about to share with you is the dark psychology of wealth, the hidden mental patterns that quietly keep good, hard-working people poor, while a small percentage of people seem to attract money effortlessly. But here's what most people never realize. This isn't about working harder. It's about something far more uncomfortable. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to look at your own bank account differently. If you're serious about changing the way you think about money, take a second right now to like this video and subscribe, because what you're about to hear could completely rewire the way you see wealth, success, and yourself. Let me tell you about a man named Daniel. Daniel worked 60 hours a week at a job he hated. He was smart, disciplined, and never missed a deadline. He believed that if he just worked hard enough, the money would eventually come. 10 years passed. He got small raises here and there, but he never got ahead. He watched co-workers who, in his opinion, work less than him, somehow climb faster, invest smarter, and build real wealth. Daniel told himself it was unfair. He told himself the system was rigged. But here's where things get interesting. One day, his company brought in a financial consultant to speak to the staff, and that consultant said one sentence that destroyed everything Daniel believed about money. He said, "Most people don't have a money problem, they have an identity problem." Daniel sat in that room, feeling like the words were aimed directly at him. Because deep down, Daniel didn't actually believe he deserved to be wealthy. He grew up hearing that rich people were greedy, that money changes people, that wanting too much was selfish. Without even realizing it, Daniel had spent his whole life unconsciously pushing wealth away, because some part of him believed that having it would make him a bad person. That's the first dark truth about wealth psychology. Most people don't fail to get rich because of bad decisions. They fail because their subconscious mind is silently working against them, sabotaging every opportunity that could actually change their life. This is where it gets fascinating from a psychological standpoint. Your brain isn't built to make you happy. It's built to keep you safe. And to your brain, anything unfamiliar, even positive change, feels dangerous. If you grew up in a household where money was always tight, your nervous system became wired to associate scarcity with safety. Strange as that sounds, struggling financially can actually feel more comfortable to your brain than the unknown territory of real wealth. That's why so many people who win the lottery end up broke again within a few years. It's not because they're foolish, it's because their internal identity was never upgraded to match their new external reality. The mind always pulls you back toward what feels familiar, even if what's familiar is pain. But that's not the most important part. Here's where the real shift happens for people who actually become wealthy. They stop reacting to money with emotion and start treating it as a system. Average people see money as something that happens to them. Successful people see money as something they direct. Average people spend first and save what's left. Wealthy people pay themselves first and spend what's left. Average people work for money. Wealthy people make money work for them. This single shift in perspective, from reactor to director, from consumer to creator, is the line that separates people who stay stuck and people who break free. Let's go back to Daniel for a second, because his story isn't over. After hearing that one sentence from the consultant, something cracked open in him. He started paying attention to his own thoughts every time money came up. He noticed how often he said things like, "I could never afford that," or "rich people are lucky," or "money isn't everything." He realized these weren't just opinions. They were instructions he was giving his own brain every single day. And the brain, being the obedient machine that it is, was simply following orders. So Daniel made a decision. Instead of trying to change his bank account first, he decided to change his identity first. He started reading about people who built wealth from nothing. He studied how they thought, not just what they did. He discovered something almost every self-made wealthy person has in common. They don't wait for motivation. They build systems and habits so strong that emotion becomes irrelevant. While average people are debating whether they feel like saving money this month, wealthy people already automated their savings months ago. While average people are scrolling for entertainment, wealthy people are consuming information that compounds their skills. This is the difference between motion and progress. Motion feels productive. Progress actually moves you forward. Most people are addicted to motion because it lets them feel busy without ever facing the discomfort of real change. Here's where things get even more interesting, and this is something almost nobody talks about. Fear of failure is not actually what keeps most people poor. Fear of success is. It sounds backwards, but think about it. If you become wealthy, you might lose friends who feel threatened by your growth. Family members might treat you differently. You might have to leave behind the identity everyone around you is comfortable with. Subconsciously, many people choose to stay small because staying small keeps them accepted. This is one of the darkest and most overlooked truths in wealth psychology. People don't just fear losing money, they fear gaining it. Because gaining it means becoming someone new, and becoming someone new is terrifying to a brain that's wired for safety and belonging. Let me give you a real historical example of this exact principle in action. Thomas Edison failed at building a working light bulb over 1,000 times before he succeeded. When a reporter asked him how it felt to fail so many times, he said something that changed how an entire generation viewed failure. He said he hadn't failed at all. He had simply discovered 1,000 ways that didn't work. That mindset, viewing failure as data instead of identity, is exactly what separates people who eventually break through from people who quit one step before the breakthrough. Most people give up right before the moment everything would have changed for them. That's not just a motivational saying, it's a documented pattern across nearly every successful person in history. Now here's an insight that will change how you see discipline forever. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do things you hate. Discipline is what happens when your identity and your actions finally match. When Daniel started seeing himself as someone who builds wealth instead of someone who survives paycheck to paycheck, saving money stopped feeling like sacrifice. It started feeling like self-respect. He wasn't restricting himself. He was protecting the future version of himself he was becoming. This is identity-based change, and it's far more powerful than willpower, because willpower runs out. But identity doesn't need willpower at all. It just needs consistency. I want you to think for a second about your own relationship with money. Not what you say about it, but how you actually feel when you think about having more of it. Does it feel exciting? Or does some part of you feel guilty, anxious, or undeserving? Drop a comment below and tell me honestly what your first reaction was, because self-awareness is the very first step toward rewiring this pattern. You can't change what you refuse to look at. Let's go even deeper into the psychology of the wealthy mindset, because there's one more piece most people completely miss. Wealthy people don't see money as the goal. They see money as a tool that buys time, freedom, and options. Average people chase money so they can buy things that impress people they don't even like. Wealthy people invest money so they never have to worry about money again. This is the difference between consuming and building. A consumer mindset says, what can this purchase do for me right now? A builder mindset says, what can this decision do for my future? Every dollar a wealthy person spends is treated like a seed, not candy. Average people eat their seeds. Wealthy people plant them and wait. There's a quiet, almost invisible moment that happens in the life of every person who eventually builds real wealth. It's the moment they stop blaming the economy, their parents, their education, or their bad luck, and instead ask one simple but brutal question. What can I control? The moment you shift from a victim mindset to an ownership mindset, your entire reality changes. Not because the world around you changed, but because you stopped waiting for permission to change it yourself. This shift alone has created more self-made millionaires than any business strategy, investment trick, or secret formula ever could. Daniel's transformation didn't happen overnight. It took him nearly 3 years of consistent, small decisions. He automated 10% of every paycheck before he ever touched it. He read instead of scrolled. He surrounded himself with people who talked about building, not complaining. Slowly, the identity of broke Daniel who works hard but stays stuck was replaced by Daniel who builds quietly and consistently. 3 years later, his investments had compounded, his side skills had turned into a second income stream, and for the first time in his life, money stopped controlling him. He started controlling it. This is the part most people need to hear the most. You don't need to be a genius to build wealth. You don't need a rich family or a lucky break. What you need is to stop unconsciously sabotaging yourself with beliefs you never chose in the first place. You were taught how to think about money by people who were often struggling with money themselves. None of that was your fault. But staying stuck in those same patterns now, after you know better, that part is on you. If this video opened your eyes even a little, share it with someone who needs to hear this today, because some people are still trapped in beliefs about money that were handed to them by accident, and one video, one sentence, one shift in perspective can be the start of an entirely different life for them, the same way it was for Daniel. So here's the truth I want you to walk away with. Wealth was never just about money. It's about identity. It's about who you decide to become before the results ever show up. Average thinkers wait for proof before they believe. Strategic thinkers believe first, and the proof follows. From this moment forward, stop asking, how do I get more money? And start asking, who do I need to become to attract it naturally? Stop reacting to your finances with emotion and start directing them with intention. Stop consuming information and never applying it, and start building one decision, one habit, one uncomfortable choice at a time. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are simply one identity shift away from becoming the version of yourself that builds wealth instead of chasing it. The dark psychology of wealth isn't dark because it's evil. It's dark because it's hidden. Buried in beliefs you never examined, habits you never questioned, and fears you never named. Now that you've seen it, you can't unsee it. The only question left is what you're going to do with that awareness. Make the decision today that the old story ends here, and the new one, the one where you build, you grow, and you finally become the person money flows toward, starts right now.